What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 166. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and today I am once again joined by Joe, aka Mr. Bad Bit, one of the hosts of the Trophy Room. Joe, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm excited to talk about so many things.
Yes.
How about you, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Thank you for your time and hopping on the show. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. Happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
Guys, if you want to catch the show live, you can go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011. Usually live every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You join the chat, join on the fun and the conversation over there. We'd love to have you in on all the fun and chaotic chatter. But if you can't catch live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, comments, reviews, sharing it with somebody you think would enjoy it. If you do that, it may seem small, but it helps the show grow, helps us have some fun and bring more people in. So yeah, anything you do, we would love you for it. So yes, Joe is back on the podcast today to start off our discussion with a fun topic and something that has seemed, it's caught your your love and attention for the past, was it 2-3 weeks now since launch?
2 weeks.
Jeez.
I think two and a half weeks.
Time flies. PlayStation VR. So Joe, how awesome is PlayStation VR 2?
Oh man, where do we begin with how awesome this thing is? And every podcast that I go on to talk about it, I try to bring a different slant to it so I don't sound samey. Especially when we talked about it on the Trophy Room, I had a lot of frustration about PSVR, not in the hardware, but how it's been covered, because to me, I feel like the general games media have kind of just went, it's the competitor to the Meta Quest. And it's like, that's not what this is. You know, the Meta Quest is a very entry-level, impressive piece of tech, don't get me wrong, but entry-level, piece of tech. And the PlayStation VR is not trying to go toe-to-toe with something that isn't tethered to a PC. And for it not being tethered to the PC, the Meta Quest does a fine job, but for things that require that tether, you understand why they do. So, for me, it's like anything from, like, I feel like people failed on the pass-through talk. I feel like people failed on the controller talk. They really nailed home the I don't like a wire thing. And for me, I'm like, y'all are, first off, how big is your room? How big's your room, and how many things are really in the way? Right? Like, because I'm in a small room, very small room. I can make a 5 by 5 foot space to do most VR things. But look, I got also a slanted ceiling here. So like, that is just, it should be very difficult to manage. But PlayStation VR or PSVR2 is such a step up because it's tethered to your PlayStation 5, because it's using that processing power. You're able to get one of the most visually stunning headsets or VR units out there. People go, this thing, it goes right up against the Index, and it's kind of a war between preferences of what you like more, the Index and the PSVR 2 at this point in time. So I feel like people, really hung on to I don't like a wire, which doesn't get in the way, to why this thing is somehow better, the Meta Quest. To me, I'm a PlayStation 1 VR, day one owner. I don't know about you. Are you a day one owner?
I don't know about day one, but go. Yeah, there's the big chunky boy.
There's big chunky boy, and actually I have it right here. I have the whole VR. Let's do it. Right here.
Oh, there you go. You get a side-by-side comparison.
Yeah. Oh God, I love this thing. So, I'm a PSVR 1 fan. I loved how PlayStation approached it, because they were very transparent. I'm like, we don't know where this goes. This is a risk, but we see that there's a lot of interest in it, so we're going for it. This is our PS1 to VR, so bear with us. And it very much was, right? Like, the light controllers were not great. The camera tracking was not great, was not stellar. No light in that room. Right? You needed to be like a hermit
Mm-hmm.
when playing VR with that thing. And though it was impressive for the time of what they were able to do, I always talk about it being an amalgamation of all of Sony's failures rolled into a product that they prayed would be a success. From the move to the camera to all of it. So for me, seeing PlayStation come here with PSVR2, they really took notes of what people wanted from PSVR2 that were PSVR 1 owners and what the general VR audience have now accepted as the norms and must-haves, and then how to even improve on those things. So while I go get the PlayStation Move Sense controller, ask me a question about that hardware. Ask me anything in that your heart desires, sir.
Okay. Well, clearly there's a lot of, adjustments or upgrades from PlayStation VR 1 to 2. What would you say is your standout of the biggest improvement that it is offering?
Thank you for that segue because I have it right here in front of me. This controller is amazing. I wish I had the move stick. I have no idea where those went. Hopefully they're rotting in hell. But this controller and this controller right here, to give a sort of comparison, these are kind of the way we think about VR headsets being used, where instead of having a camera on your TV looking down at you or sensors around your room sensing these controllers, it's cameras that are on the headset itself. I believe there's like 9 cameras on this bad boy in front tracking your sense controllers, these rings here, right? So you don't need a camera to track your movements. All you need is a lit room so that the camera could notice these controllers. So the one great thing of these controllers is I have not had a moment where I've lost the controller. So many times with PSVR 1, it was so inaccurate to put it lightly, or it would just not register where my controller was. I've never had that moment yet. Maybe once, maybe twice, but so little of a time that I've forgotten that they've happened. The move sticks are not that comfortable. They're not to be used for long sessions. The Sense controller, the upgraded one, just perfectly falls into your hand. It is such a comfortable controller just to put in your palm. It rests easily on it, and it just kind of falls perfectly into place. So it really does kind of blend into or become like an extra, part of you, to put it into marketing speak. That said, each one of these bad boys, look at this, has my lighting's bad for reasons, an analog stick on both of them. So movement is greatly improved. And the best thing about this thing is the motion control, or the sensors where it senses. Ooh, I turned on my PlayStation 5 by accident. Where it senses your fingers.
Okay.
So like when you're grabbing something, so like you could make the peace sign in Horizon Forbidden West. You could do a finger gun sign by just pointing your finger, and you could just have them rested there. But the great thing about this controller is the adaptive triggers and the humble or the HD rumble, whatever they call it now. What is it? Haptic feedback. There you go. The haptic feedback in these. Why did I say HD rumble? Oh God, I was thinking about the ice cubes and the Joy-Con. No, it's nothing like those. It's great. The haptic triggers, or sorry, the haptic feedback feels fantastic. It does feel like an extension of you when you're climbing up something in Horizon. The tension that this trigger you feel, it does give you the illusion of that you are climbing or holding on to something. And the haptics in the headpiece as well. I joked on the trophy room if it's like, so what, is it gonna like replicate a headshot? Yeah, kind of. Gonna replicate it pretty well. You're playing pistol whip, and someone gets a shot on you. You feel it, and you feel where they shot you from.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, I got shot from the right. Damn it, right? In Horizon, you'll feel the wind, press against your face. as like wind moves past you as you climb higher and higher. So like it's used in really interesting ways that doesn't feel like a gimmick. It feels like an extension of the play experience. So there's, to me, very little wrong with this controller. So much so that I'm like, you know, it'd be really cool. It's just an accessibility feature. They just make the Sense controllers a controller you can use, because there's really no difference between the controllers. One side has your X and your square button, or sorry, your circle button, and the other one has your square and your triangle. So like it really is a dual sense controller, just, you know,
separated,
kind of taken apart, separated. So like it would be awesome for people that have trouble with having the controller, you know, in with this, you know, parameter set, where they can have it so that they're more comfortable in use. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't happen. This is my favorite feature. This controller is nuts. The Sense controllers, I always forget the name. The Sense controllers are not a gimmick. I was on DLC, and the one thing that they were saying was an adjustment to is the orb around this thing, because a lot of, like, again, I use this only as an example. The Oculus controller, the ring is up here. So sometimes what they were doing was they're gripping it upside down.
Yeah, I would do that. I'd be like,
yeah, just out of force of habit, of years of all these controllers having the rings on the outside. But honestly, this controller is awesome. It is the most comfortable controller I've ever used, just even outside, you know, basic. Oh my god!
Hey.
You know, dual sense controllers that I love so much. So, yeah, that is my favorite thing about the headset for sure.
That seems.
What's another question?
So that seems like it's a big upgrade, because I know with, you know, VR1 you could go with the Move controls as you mentioned, or you could go with your basic controller depending on what experience you were playing.
We just have all the gadgets and gizmos.
You know.
I'm like, okay, I got my Switch right here. I gotta move this paperwork.
So that's nice. They kind of made that hybrid. Ooh, pretty.
OLED. It has dust on it. Because I have not played a Metroid yet.
So yeah, they obviously upgraded the controllers. What other upgrades have they brought to the table from the first iteration to this second one?
Yeah, so let's talk about them lens caps, man. Let's talk about the screens. They're 4K. That's what they keep telling us. OLED, because that's a marketing term. And the tech that's inside of it. So the screens are impressive for a multitude of reasons. Before, on the PSVR 1, I believe it was something you could do on future iterations, but you could move the lenses in PSVR 1, but you had to physically move them with your fingers, and it felt like you were breaking the goddamn thing.
Interesting.
Which is a great thing in theory to do, because everybody's face is structured different, and you want to make sure you get the lenses correctly aligned with your eyes so that you can see, and you don't have the I forget the term everybody uses, but font doesn't seem so fuzzy. Here with PSVR 2, and I got this. Instead of you having to, you know, fiddle with the headset in terms of actually manually moving lenses to get the right imagery, what it does is it has this little dial. And this little dial adjusts the lenses so finely that you can perfectly align the lenses to your eyes, at least horizontally. It's a really awesome little quality of life thing that they were able to do. But the lenses that themselves are incredibly impressive. Like Horizon Call of the Mountain is breathtaking. It's just a gorgeous game. And part of that has to do with how beautiful or how powerful or how vivid, really, the lenses are in showing you the color palette that is Horizon, right? You're like your bright greens, your bright blues with the light brown textures. All of that is just phenomenally done and presented to you via the OLED screen. So to me, the other thing that these screens don't have, which is a great quality of life improvement, is no Merca, I think they call it, but I just call it the screen door effect,
Okay.
where there is no, you got to really squint to see pixels on this thing.
Okay.
It's so pixel dense that unless you really squint at a very gray or, black image, you're not going to see any pixels. No, not even black, sorry, because it's OLED screen. Gray, you can maybe make something out. It doesn't look 100% great, but even then, you gotta squint. You gotta really show effort that you want the screen door effect, which is a great quality of life thing. And then the pass through, it's a button. So if you are not aware of your surroundings, you think you're lost, you need to see through to the outside world, you could join the cyberpunk world by pressing this button. Fun fact, a dog was chilling out with me in my room while I was playing VR, right? And every so often, I turn on the pass-through and look at him, and it's black and white. So I'm seeing like he's seeing. So we're relating. And I'm making sure he's all right. And my mom knocks on the door. She's like, "Hey, is Marty in here?" I'm like, "Yeah, you wanna like take him?" She's like, "Yeah. I'm gonna take him for a walk." I open the door. She sees that I'm in the VR headset, and we're trying to coach my dog to get up because he's 13 years old, and it's a hardwood floor.
Sure.
So like we're helping him, and my mom's like, what? I'm like, "You're wondering how I'm seeing through this?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, because I'm in cyberpunk now. The cameras. She's like, "The cameras. I knew it. It was the cameras." So all these little quality of life things. Again, a lot of VR headsets like have that pass through now, but it's easy. It's just simply pressing a button to it. There's a lot of great quality of life things that makes this equivalent to a lot of VR headsets out there, while bringing the power aspect of it through the processing power of the console itself to really showcase how powerful this thing is. Also, shout out to the accordion right here. This accordion visor is stellar.
Okay.
The whole just fit of this thing is great. I love the crown aspect of the PSVR.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, I know, well, speaking of the pass-through, like, whenever in VR1, if you needed to check something or adjust something, it was always, slide the visor up, adjust whatever, and then you would have to kind of re-situate yourself back into it, make sure it's tight, snug, whatever. How do you feel the fit of the new VR set is?
It's very comfortable. So they've done a few things. There's a mesh on the visor.
Okay.
A better mesh. So it feels like you're suction cupped to it a bit on your forehead. And there's a cushion on the back that does a great job. It's like a 3-layer cushion. One is this like you feel the elastic of the plastic. Then you get this like, I forget how Bret used the analogy, but he said it felt like a flat tire. I think that's a perfect way of doing it. Shout out to Triangle Square for that analogy. And then you get to a harder substance afterwards. So it does a good job of cushioning your head, but some people have noted that this thing does tend to slide up a bit.
Okay.
It slid up a little bit with me, but I take that as make sure you just clean your headset, because hair grease is a thing that happens, and you're gonna sweat in this thing, especially if you're playing Pistol Whip. The one thing that that Mr. Spicer said on DLC, which I wanted to give him shout out to because I did not know this is a thing, is that on the index, you can actually there's a little hinge that you can press a button and then just lift the visor up. So if you get a text, you could just go, okay, let me lift the visor. Oh, okay. And then lift the visor down. I wish this headset had that, because there was a moment today I was playing Moss Book 2 because Book 1 pissed me off so much so that I was like, you know what? Fuck, I'm just going to Book 2. I've played this game enough. I know. So like, I kept getting texts, and then I had to take the headset off. I was like, oh, okay. It was just my best friend showing me memes. So like, that's the one thing that I think is still a downside with PSVR, and I think, headsets in general, is The one problem that they have to solve is the second screen experience.
Okay.
And I think PC VR has the upper hand here, where if you just had, and they probably do, and I'm just dumb, but like Android or iOS integration, where it's just like, oh, hey, just so you know, you got a message on your iPhone and you could just preview it. That would help so much with you then just getting back to your experience without taking off the headset. But that is one annoyance, because once the headset's off, you got to readjust and, you know, get everything back in order.
Sure. How do you feel like it blocks out the light? Because I know with this first one, these rubber sides occasionally. Oof. I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
No, I said they tried.
Oh, yeah.
No, the accordion setup is perfect. I don't wear glasses. I've taken the word of Steve Vigvari of Android Central and Console Creatures. So I'm trying to give everybody a shout out. I don't want to take ideas that weren't my own. So yeah, that attribution is important, kids. But he wears glasses and he says it does not hinder him in the slightest. In fact, the accordion setup is a really great way of meshing well with your face.
Okay.
Because the little flappy flaps on PSVR1, though they did a okay job, these do a legitimate great job of blocking your light from you.
Okay, great. Because sometimes like you're immersed, and then all of a sudden like just a little poke, and you're like, wait a minute.
Exactly.
So we kind of alluded to it earlier with like the cord discussion. Everybody's complaining about the cords. At least from a setup standpoint, how is this one compared to the original?
God bless. God bless. Again, everybody, because I saw the one thumbnail and I'm in one DM. We were just like, can't believe it. We're just like, really, guys? Really? This is it? We're like, the lady, she's all tangled up in cords. It's like, I don't know how you're playing. I don't know how you're doing this. I don't know how. Again, guys, I wish I could take this camera off so you could see the hoarders like situation I have in this room. I rest my legs on a crate, okay, full of shit. I don't know if I could curse, but
oh yeah,
it's
absolutely.
allowed. Just full of shit. And so like it's, I mean, hell, my PSVR is right next to all the wires that hook up to this podcast. I yank one cord, everything goes awry. I've had no problems with this goddamn cord. In fact, remember the setup for PSVR 1 was like 9 cables?
Yeah.
and tech support on top of that. And then you got that thing.
Wait, I got this HDMI in the wrong spot. Switch that. They still don't work.
Yeah.
It's the
USB.
USB.
And then it was just like, and you had to the annoying thing, because I believe if you had PSVR, it wouldn't you had it like connected to your PlayStation 4. You couldn't get HDR in even standard games. So like you had to unplug the HDMI and replug it. Like, so there was just so much bullshit in between all of this, where, guys, PSVR 2, one cable.
Okay.
It's the USB-C cable. You plug it into your PlayStation 5. Setup complete.
Nice.
It's beautiful. It's so convenient. Now, the only thing I have a problem with is SteelSeries uses a USB-C, C to plug in my headphones. So now I need to find an adapter in stat. And I know they gave me one, but I can't find it because, again, my room is wires. So, yeah, the setup's easy. I am now starting to think and contemplate actually bringing the VR headset down to our basement. My brother has his PS5 there, and I could just hook it up, and I have a much bigger space to bullshit around in. But they have a cat.
Yeah, it's a little bit more harder to manage than the dog. Those things are crazy.
I don't want. Well, you know what? Like, they're agile.
Yes.
You know? My thing is, they're also mischievous. They're gonna bat shit around.
Oh,
so, I don't know if they're gonna be like batting it off the thing to hit the concrete floor. But honest to God, like, even with, and something that I keep forgetting to point out, the one thing that this thing takes from like Oculus and like so many other headsets now is how you set up your play area. So a lot of games are just like, you can play sitting, you could play it standing, or you could do room full scale, which means Yeah, I could use the whole room, motherfucker. It's huge. Now I'm cursing too much.
Yeah.
So like you can just use the whole room, right? Uh, and to paint your play area, all you do is it says set up play area when you're going into a game that requires standing, and it goes into pass through mode, and then you literally point with your PSVR see look the sense controller. You press the trigger and you start painting the floor where it's safe to play.
Okay.
So you're setting the boundaries yourself, and then it says look around the room because the camera is now scanning the walls.
Wow.
So it'll find you where you need to go. So if you're going out of bounds in a game, it'll show you a grid and a red line of like you're about to hit something. You're about to make a big dumb move. You could play around with it in the settings so it shows you less and less.
Okay.
So it's less immersion breaking, or if you're like a risk taker like I am, I'm like I'll hit my $900 camera and mic. That's fair. But like with the controller, you just paint your area and it just bam, you start playing. And then to find out where the floor is, you just place the controller on the floor for a second, and then bam, everything is set for you because it needs to distinguish what a wall or the floor is. And even if you can't point it to the floor, just get it low enough and it'll know.
Okay.
So it knows, and you don't do that often, luckily enough. So once you set your play area, unless you change, drastically your play area, it shouldn't ask you that often. It's asked me that like 3 times in the past 2 weeks.
Gotcha. Wow, that is nuts. I mean, my only experience VR wise is this original headset. Like, I haven't tried Oculus, MetaQuest, etc. So like, you're just blowing my mind right now of like what it could do.
And honestly, if you're just a PlayStation 1 or PlayStation VR 1 owner and you're walking into PSVR2, this is a next generational leap that is
Gotcha.
It's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind. If you're like me and have put a lot of headsets on your noggin, you could go, oh wow, they're not just caught up to the modern times, they're offering something that is and feels premium.
Gotcha.
And the one thing I really want to stress is every developer of who we've talked to on PlayStation about PlayStation VR 2, they can't stress enough how appreciative they are of Sony support, because they're just like all the main dogs left. There's very few of them out there, right? Like you got Steam, sorta, you got MetaQuest for sure, Zuckerberg aside, but everybody left, and it's up to us to carry this platform forward. And it seems like the people that still have faith in it, the last big AAA partner in the game is PlayStation, and they're backing this real. They're talking the talk and walking the walk.
Sure. So
I really appreciate that, because it's not coming out of some, it's not coming out of, what is it, Rylith RN on Twitter talking about the 2K deal.
Right.
That's not happening. It's coming out of the people that actually have the hands-on experience telling you, no, they believe in this thing.
That's good. That's good to hear, because obviously, PlayStation has had a little bit of rocky steps with some hardware of just supporting it. So
rest in peace, Vita. Rest in peace.
So we've talked a lot about the hardware. Let's talk about the software. What are some? So you've talked about Call of the Mountain quite a bit. What are some games that you've delved into?
So this is why I think Ainsley Bowden, my good friend, is a piece of shit, because he added me at Twitter going, "Oh, I beat you at Pistol Whip, Joe. It's a real workout." Pistol Whip is a great time because it makes you feel like you're John Wick and that you're doing Beat Saber at the same time.
Ooh,
where instead of drums, it's guns. So Pistol Whip is an on-rail shooter that combines music-based rhythm with gunplay, and it's somewhat like, Beat Saber meets Super Hot. Think of it like that. Where you're having these shootouts to the beat, and the more accurate you are with your gun, the more points you're going to get and the more damage you're going to do to some of these foes. So that said, it sounds simplistic, and that's when VR is at its best, taking simple concepts, simple actions, and putting and surrounding the fun around that concept while not making it seem boring. Like you're still going through, song after song, wanting to master each level, wanting to get the high score. That's what Pistol Whip is all about. And let me tell you something about Pistol Whip as well. It takes great use of the functionality of the controllers, because this thing definitely feels like a trigger pull. The shots that you get feel like you're getting some recoil from these weapons, right? Not like it's going like you don't cock it back and no, gun safety, folks. Point it down and point it away. It's nothing like that. It just gives you the sensation of, yes, I am shooting a thing from my hand.
Sure.
And then like I mentioned before, when you get shot in the head, you feel it. You go, ah, damn it. And it feels akin to like when you're in an arcade and you feel like the rumble from the chair. Sure. When you hit something, you're like, son of a bitch, what did why? So Pistol Whip's a really fun time. It is a must play. It is a must buy. I love it so much. Moss Book 1, Book 2. I have issues with Book 1. Book 1 is a little aggravating at the end.
Okay.
Ooh, a little aggravating. But they're both really great times. These aren't, unfortunately, backwards compatible because they were not able to, just via the cost of the ports themselves.
Sure.
And I love their transparency about it. They're like, just financially, we can't. Fair enough. Support these games, please, because they are fantastic. These are awesome platformers that you need to, puzzle platformers that you ought to play with great little action bits in between. And it uses really good functionality of the PSVR controllers, Sense controllers. Jesus, I gotta fix that. Yeah. And then what else? Because like Call of the Mountain is a great time. It's a great game. It's a great concept that kind of gets lost towards the end of it. Like the story is really simple. You're an ex-bad guy. You're trying to find your brother. And during the journey, you're trying to find out and vindicate yourself to get back into good graces with the good guys, right? And nobody likes you. In fact, nobody will like you until like the very end, and they'll give you a pat on the back and nothing more. But you're trying to find your brother. And to me, I think what was interesting about this was the two brothers' relationships and, trying to mend something that's broken in between. I liked that story, but unfortunately, they add a bad guy in there that is just unneeded.
Okay.
And has like 4 lines, and I can't even really tell you what their mission was or what their motivation was.
Sure.
It was there to be there. And I felt like this game, while short, it's like 5 to 7 hours. You could have cut it down, and you could have made it a leaner game while making the experiences of each level shine through. And I don't think that happened there. So I do agree with a lot of the scores. I would say around the 80s is where I would put it for a VR title. The thing that's impressive about this tech is, or about the game, is the tech. It is a great showcase. It definitely feels like Firesprite was making a climbing simulator, and PlayStation saw that and went, wow, that's a really cool simulator you got there. Would you like to put Horizon stuff in there? And they're like, yeah, let's throw this license in there. Let's have a partnership. And that's what happened here. Because the climbing mechanics, the traversal, it is, I think, gotten a bit monotonous in PlayStation games, the climbing mechanics. That's what this game is, and it's the best part of the game. And that's not to speak any ill towards the combat, which I think is good to serviceable. The climbing aspect is actually a lot of fun, because there's certain times where you're climbing and you got to hold on to dear life because it's like a 40,000 foot drop, and you just take a look and you look at the vistas and you're like, Jesus Christ, this is beautiful. Like, I definitely have, again, when you feel the air like rumble on your face, you're just like, I am on top of a mountain. Like, it does such a good job. There's an awesome mechanic where you have a grapple hook.
Okay.
They don't call it a grapple hook. They have a grapple hook that's not as fun and a fun grapple hook. So I'll just call it fun grapple hook. You have a fun grapple hook where, let's call it a hook shot. Hook shots sounds dope. So you have a hook shot that all you got to do is press. I don't know. I'm using Oculus controller. God forbid. But all you got to do is look with your eyes, because it has eye tracking, at the thing you want to hook onto, and then you just whip it, and bam, automatically hooked onto that object. And then how you jump is you press the side button, the R1 or L1 at the same time, and then you just do a lunge.
Okay.
Like that with your arms. You just pull your arms back, and you'll do a jump. That mechanic is so fun to me, because there's one point, dude, where I'm from one mountain and I gotta traverse onto the other mountain. So I'm literally I have a pickaxe on this I'm holding with the left hand, and then I just got my grapple hook, and I'm just like whip, and then I'm just like swinging like I'm Indiana Jones from one mountain to the other.
Oh, Jesus.
And you feel the momentum, and then you grab onto something to dear life. So you literally mid-swing, as you're going up, you got to let go. And just, God takes the wheel. Jesus takes the wheel at that point. And then you grab onto something. It's like those moments are so much fun. And even most of the combat is a lot of fun too, because it's on rails. It's on a circular motion.
Oh, okay.
So like you're dodging. The thing is though, with the combat, you can break it really easily. Like there is a duck mechanic and a dodge mechanic, and it just moves slightly to the left, slightly to the right. But the dodge is so OP that all you got to do is dodge everything. So it's just like, oh, this thing's about to hit me. Okay, dodge 3 times. All right, arrow in the back, and you can break most enemies that way. But enemies are pretty darn formidable, and you're not just like, for example, and I'm just gonna rename some things so it's not spoilers. There's a fight where you could be fighting a Thunderjaw, big hulking beast, and then all of a sudden Watchers come out, and you have to fight the Thunderjaw and these Watchers. Or you're fighting a Prowler, and then all of a sudden Scrappers come in, and you got to fight them as well. So you're fighting multiple enemies at once. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And that's when it gets a little finicky, because I'm like, oh shit, where's my inventory? Shit. If they had a slow time mechanic,
Sure.
which they kind of do. So in the combat, when you take out your bow, which is so fucking cool, dude, it makes me feel like I'm like a lot. There's cool little target dummies that they have.
Yeah.
Where like you take your bow by putting the camera behind your head, pressing R1 or R2, and then you pull it out. So it's like I just unsheathed my bow, and then you do the same for your arrows with the other hand.
Okay.
So you're just like, so there's awesome times where I feel like such a badass. I take out the bow, I take out the arrow, I go, oop, bullseye. All right, go back into the thing. But in order to change from different ammo types, all you have to do is twist up with the bow, and then with your other hand you go, okay, which one I'm gonna pick? The fire one, and then take that out, and then all your arrows will be fire at that point.
Okay.
Or you have like max 12.
Sure.
And that part's fun, but when it gets really cumbersome, you're like, oh shit, fuck, I picked the wrong arrow. I don't know, how do I put it back in my inventory? I don't know, I'm stressed. Those happen a lot. Maybe it's just because I'm bad. But nonetheless, the combat's good. It could be better though.
Okay.
Again, it does definitely feel like I'm in an arcade in those points. Not to say that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's like things we've done before, and with this tech, be crazy.
Sure.
Yeah? Go for it. So Call of the Mountain, a really fun time, a great showcase. This is PlayStation's Half-Life Alyx.
Okay.
But to put it bluntly, they still need Half-Life Alyx. So while this game is good, I really do hope the rumors are right in that PlayStation have purchased the publishing rights to put Half-Life on PlayStation VR, because I think this if they do that, I think that's the biggest sign of faith that they're really real with this thing. Okay. And they're going all in, and they will partner even with their competitors to put stuff on their game. I think Beat Saber was a great indicator, so hopefully that's in the showcase, honestly, because if that is the case, then yeah, you have 2 killer apps for this headset that you should go out there and buy. So that's for from what the most part of what I played on it, the tech is just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one game that's been able to tear me away from this thing, and that's Wulong.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, PlayStation VR, man, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
So that was my TED Talk.
Well, those all sound awesome, and yeah, just everything you're saying is like, ah, crap. Like, I'm getting that FOMO, like, it's growing. Because, yeah, when they first announced it, it was like, oh, great, they're making another one. It got to that point, which I think you and Kyle discussed on Trophy Room, of, like, the PSVR1, it's gathering dust, it's sitting there. Should I go to this point? And I've had that thought, but, yeah, everything you said, I was just like, damn, yeah, that sounds really, really cool.
Yeah, it sounds really awesome. Again, like from what I've heard, like just behind closed doors, it's like they really are believing in it. I wish they launched it differently, but I think it's like PlayStation knows, Sony knows, this tech is still young,
Sure,
and needs to grow, and that when they say, hey, we have 2 million units that we plan to sell throughout the year, they know what the demand is for this thing. They're just hoping that they can make software that bring more and more people to it, and then the hardware advances more and more, where these things just become goggles we put on our faces. So I get what part of that Jason Schreier article is saying is like, yeah, they're putting this out here and they're supporting it, but they're not supporting it. I think it's a little bit more than that. They are supporting it. They do believe in this hardware. They do want a stable base of folks on this thing, preaching it to high heavens. They do want that VR community, that market, because when it blows up, when the software / hardware meets up with each other to make a truly special thing, they want to be in the market so that they can do the same.
Gotcha.
Or they want to be the ones that set it. So yeah, I would say if you're interested, listen, money's hard to come by right now. So it's just like, if you're a diehard VR guy, yes. If you bought PSVR 1 and you're excited and FOMO's getting to you, hold out still.
Sure.
Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever. Treat yourself day, your birthday. Go for it.
Okay.
Have fun.
Nice. Well, I got 2 more questions for you, Joe. So, You talked about the titles you have played. Is there something that has been announced that's coming to PlayStation VR 2 that you are looking forward to playing?
Oh, dude, Synapse looks dope. I love what Kyle said. It's like it reminds me of Control. It does as well for me, and it reminds me of like, yeah, Control is a good one. It's just like here, force grip and force push things, and now you have a gun. It's like that is. I'm all about it. I love the visual aesthetic as well. It's really muted, except for the things that matter or explode or get hot. Like you're shooting your Desert Eagle, and it's getting hotter the more you shoot it, so it's turning red. And I'm like, oh, that's dope. Like the everything's a gray muted, kind of 80s synth vibe until you see, oh, there's a combustible like barrel right here. Let me shoot it. It's red. Boom, and then you just see these huge explosions, or you just grip people up with the force and then toss them aside. There's also a really awesome Western game that was on the State of Play that that's escaping me. Let me look on it because I want to give this this game its props, because honest to goodness, let me do PlayStation State of Play. Let me look at this, because you know what? It's important. I want to give these people their due, because it looks so awesome. It's pretty much it's a cel shaded Western shooter that kind of looks a little bit like Borderlands, in the sense of like it's again cel shaded but with Western flair. Holy crap, it looks so good, and it is a roguelike game. So as I've become just such an easy please for roguelikes, I want to see a roguelike in VR. The Foglands, there you go. And they say they want to make it feel like you're in a barroom brawl. And I'm like, that's how you get me in. So you gave me roguelite, you gave me cowboys, which I love, a good Western. Pew, 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 pew. And you gave me roguelite, and I'm like, and I think I'm in. So those are the two games right now that I'm most excited for.
Okay.
But of course, I'm going to be an easy please with and Before Your Eyes as well because of the eye tracking.
Yes, that one sounds
PSVR.
really good.
It's going to be Kyle's like, it's a sad boy game. I'm like, Kyle, stop being sad all the time. This is why you're always okay on the show. Not I'm feeling great. It's because you're playing these sad boy games. Don't give yourself a reason to get sad. Be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Go play Synapse. Make you feel like a Jedi. That's cool. Give yourself a cool, I don't know, rip people in half type of thing. It's cool. Be evil Superman. I don't know.
Yeah.
No sad boy games. There's a time and a place, but it can't be all
right.
the time.
He's going too far one way. He's going to bounce back.
He's going
out.
too far on the one because he's like, oh, great, a sad boy game. Get sad. Why do you want that? Why do you want that feeling? That sucks. It's cool. Like, I get it. Like, you got to watch something heavy, right? Like, you could go out there and watch The Last of Us, but you can't make every show The Last of Us
right.
because what's the point of living?
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a Ted Lasso in there. You got to have a Mandalorian
mm-hmm.
in there. You got to have the balance of feel good.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So that's why I'm like, give me Synapse, and then give me Before Your Eyes, so I can feel depressed, and then I go back to playing the Foglands where I'm beating the shit out of people.
Get all that rage out.
Revolver. Exactly. Get the sad boy energy out. Yeah.
Indeed.
Ooh-wee.
So last question to tie into Call of the Mountain.
Yes.
What VR title, or rather IP, would you like to see test the waters of VR?
I heard there's a game like God of War where it plays with the axe mechanics in VR.
Okay.
I forget what it's called, but that's such a good question. I know we played around with some crazy ideas and what would work in VR.
Mm-hmm.
I always go back to Ghost of Tsushima because it's amazing.
Right.
I just having like samurai showdowns would be a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I think on Triangle Squared, I said, give me a roguelike that's kind of like, give me a Soulsborne game in the vein of like a Lichdom, where you're a mage, you're playing a ranged character, and you have to use Souls-like combat, but in ranged in VR, because I think ranged combat's going to work better than having something with collision.
Sure.
Because if I'm trying to slash something, it's like, how do I parry? You can't. So dodge mechanic's going to be, is going to be the thing for you there. So I think if I could make my own game, a Soulsborne that uses range mechanics, or give me Samurai Showdown and show me how collision can work in VR.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, we're going to move on to topic 2. Joe already kind of alluded to it. He set me up for that segue, and I was like, I got one more question. Mando, Star Wars. Joe's a big fan of Star Wars. Look at that helmet. Beautiful.
Look at that. You can't see it because there's only one light. No one's fault for that, by the way. No one's at fault.
No one. So, Joe, where did your Star Wars fandom start?
It's one of those things, man. It's just one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you. I'm trying to remember now.
Sure.
I can't remember the first time I watched Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
It's just always been there.
Mm-hmm.
Along with Back to the Future, Star Wars has just been there. Like, I'm thinking back to when I was just a wee tot in Middletown, New York. Shout out to Middletown, New York. Where my parents would have my brother babysit me. Mm. They would leave to go out to like ShopRite or whatever they needed to go, like shop. Right? They're not going clubbing. They're not being that irresponsible. But they're just like, here is Back to the Future or Star Wars. Put it on, and we were just stuck. We're just glued to the TV. We could not look away because those were our babysitters for the most part. It was that and the SNES. Mm-hmm. So Star Wars has just always been there, man. It's just been that thing. And I'm sorry if you hear Puerto Rican parents in the background. They're being Puerto Rican and they're cheering on my dog who is trying to do something we don't know, but we're cheering him on nonetheless.
All good. All good cheers. So with growing up with Star Wars from, I presume, episode 4, 5, 6
yep.
and on.
As it should be.
What was it like getting the prequel trilogy to, like, how was that to you growing up?
This is a 1-to-1 Qui-Gon Jinn lightsaber.
Nice.
So you actually get to see the divots. You see that?
Yeah.
This is movie accurate. They don't, aside from the stunt sabers, this was hanging on Qui-Gon. See that? Nobody notices the divots,
No.
but we noticed. We noticed. This is a 1-to-1 replica, baby. The hero saber, they call it. Leave that right there. The prequels are an abomination. As I show you one of my favorite lightsabers from the prequels, they are an abomination. Okay. Most of them are. The Attack of the Clones is unwatchable. It's just unwatchable.
I mean, there's some good parts.
Yoda flipping.
Yeah.
So here's the fun thing. Episode 2, everybody hates. And they're like, oh my God, when Yoda fights, it's so cringe. I'm like, really? Because Yoda's the fucking coolest, and he's doing flips and shit, and he's beating the shit out of Dooku, and Dooku has to cheat just to run away.
Right.
All right? He has to cheat to run away because he knows he's going to get mollywopped. Like, come on now. That being said, though, that's the only good part. It's like when we get to the war part, it's like, yeah, I waited what seems like an eternity for this, and it's not enough. Not enough to justify that mullet. Obi-Wan. Not enough. Phantom Menace, when you look at it now, it's practically, well, let's be honest, it's a bit insensitive. There's just so much wrong with the prequels. Now, I will say Revenge of the Sith is where it gets better. It's okay. But, no, I have strong feelings about the prequels. That said, though, if you love the prequels and that's what got you into Star Wars, listen, you may have poor taste, but you know what? You're entitled to that. So I'm legitimately, I'm happy for you, but I question your judgment, but I'm happy for you.
Fair. Only a little judged. But yeah, I just thought, like, especially for people our age, it was, not, our Star Wars sounds weird, but like it was something for us to grow up with. And then we got to the sequel series, 7, 8, 9, a whole nother generation Star Wars. So we talked about prequels, how you feel about those. How do you feel about 7, 8, and 9 with our new band of heroes?
As I hold up Kylo Ren, which is my favorite lightsaber, by the way.
Okay.
This lightsaber's dope. I used to draw lightsabers like this. This is not 1-to-1, by the way. This is one of the first replicas when it first came out that some people that are 501st certified made. It does have any of the wires, and you can hear a little jingle jangle. Don't know what that jingle jangle is. I hope it's good, but my brother's like, you can put blades in it. You can put the stuff on it. Nah, I just like it as a big paperweight. This is what I like. I don't need to put blades on it. It's okay. That said, though, man, they're not well thought out.
Okay.
They have great characters. Great characters. In fact, Force Awakens is one of my favorite Star Wars. Hell, we're gonna probably rank them in a bit, but it's one of my favorite Star Wars. In fact, I love the Disney Star Wars. Okay. But I'm not a fan of The Last Jedi. That's not because of the diversity. That's just because it didn't feel like a Star Wars movie. Though I understand what Rian Johnson was trying to do, and I respect what he was trying to do. I think what fans needed was, hey, we need Star Wars. We haven't gotten a lot of it. We just got these 2 films that we both like a lot. But let's finish out what we know before we start experimenting. And I think he experimented too fast with too much. Sure. And that's why Last Jedi is so divisive, though it's not my favorite Star Wars. It's definitely not the worst. It's definitely not mediocre. It's a great film, though. I can say that and go, I didn't like it. It's a great film. But it also has some of the best moments in Star Wars. So, to me, I cry. So Yoda's my favorite character. Like pretty much, he's my favorite. And it's like him and Han. But now the Mando's there, so it's like, I don't know yet. We'll see how the end of season 3 goes. Sure. But Yoda's one of my favorite characters, and his scene made me cry because it was also, I believe, the same year my grandpa passed away. I always saw my grandpa as Yoda because they had similar foreheads. Rest Rest in peace, Grandpa. So yeah, that scene was important for me. But the rest of the movie, like the hold door maneuver, man, that was so not okay with that because that breaks things. That breaks logic of the thing that we're talking about. Because then it's just like, well, why not just shoot random physical projectiles into things? Because these lasers aren't doing the trick. They all got shields. Just ram things. That's easy. Come on. So yeah, no, I didn't like that. That was a really weird universe break that I'm not a fan of. So yeah, that, and then Rise of Skywalker tries to fix so much and appease the fans too much.
Okay.
So it doesn't really take any risk out of things while introducing characters like Emperor Palpatine that really didn't need to be there. It's like, hey, he's alive somehow. Don't worry about it. We'll explain it 10 years from now, and then you'll be on board with it. But just like we did with the prequels. But until then, he's here. It's like, okay. All right. But it was fun. It was fine. The sequel trilogy, I don't think at the end of the day is spectacular. Sure. It lacks vision. Okay. And I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, I'd agree. There's definitely fun moments from it, and like you said, there's definitely interesting characters that come out of it. I will say this, they're probably like, I haven't rewatched any of them in quite some time. Like I remember when 8 did drop, like, oh boy, that was quite the rant back when that was.
I watched that movie 8 times.
Oh wow, okay.
To put that into perspective, that's how big of a Star Wars fan I am.
There you go.
Love it.
So yeah, you kind of alluded to ranking the movie. So at least from the episodic ones, or the episode numbered ones, how would you rank it?
I'll go even braver. I'll rank them all.
Okay.
All right. So it doesn't matter where you put the sequel trilogy, as long as episode 3 is 3.
Okay.
On the list of like, I'm going from worst to best. So like Phantom Menace and Clone Wars, who cares? Because they're unwatchable films. I said it. I don't like. Here's the thing. In Darth Maul fight, dope as hell. But then it cuts into the. What's this? Sure. Oh, jeez, I just saw. Are you an angel? And she's like, oh, just give it a film until I try to groom you. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Like, when you do the math in your head, it's like, George Lucas, what made you go with he's going to be a kid and fall in love with essentially a teenager, and she's up for it in episode 2. And like the age difference is, to me, I feel like that's very alarming. And then he's just like, yeah, and like 20 years ago, I'm going to have brother and sister kiss each other. And one of them's going to be into it and a little bragging about it. It's like, come on. It's like, well, they didn't know. It's like, come on, you didn't see a resemblance? Come on. All right. So those movies are unwatchable.
Okay.
This is where we go to, these movies are good. Right? So episode 3, movie's fine. But now we get to, these movies are good. Solo gets a bad rap. It's a fun film. I like it. You go, oh, he's not Han Solo. No, of course he's not, because he just started.
Yeah, he's getting there.
Come on, he's getting there. And by the end, you're seeing that he can get somewhere. He becomes Han Solo at the end. So I like that film, and I like the Maul reveal. And because of that movie not doing good, we're probably never going to see a Vader v Maul fight. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for that boycott, because you couldn't take, I don't know, a robot woman. I forget even what your oh god, your fan base. I just want to strangle. Oh Jesus! Oh, there's a woman with an afro and it's woke. So they're so fragile. You're gonna get 3 people that are gonna like yell at you because of that comment. You know? It's okay. That's all right. All right, don't worry. Shake it off. Everything's gonna be okay. And then we get to the original trilogy, which are all great. All great. And so I go with... Oh, no, sorry. Now we're not going original trilogy. Sorry. Now we're going, and we're going to put we're going to put Rise of Skywalker here.
Okay.
So Rise of Skywalker is 5. Then we're putting Last Jedi there at 6, right? If I'm making, yeah, at 6. Then we're going to put Return of the Jedi at 7. It's great film. Then we're going to put New Hope at 8. Then that's where we're gonna put Episode 8, Force Awakens, right above that. Then we're gonna get Empire. Gonna put that second, right? And then last but not leastly, we're gonna put Rogue One up there, because Rogue One is the best. It is phenomenal. That's cinema right there. It's so good that the movie didn't need a lightsaber scene, but then when we got the lightsaber scene, it ended up being one of the coolest fucking moments in Star Wars.
Absolutely.
And that movie introduced a gimmick that Disney and Lucasfilm are going to use from here on out, which I implore they keep using because it's so cool, and that is the GoPro shot. You saw the GoPro shot sitting on the wing of the X-wing while it's in space, and you felt like you were hanging onto the wing. They keep on doing those shots. They just did it in the latest episode of Mando, where it's just like, hey, what if we put a GoPro on a Mandalorian's helmet while they're blasting off and things are exploding behind them? Would that be fun, kids? They're like, it's like, well, we're gonna give it to you. Like, oh, it's great. But then I think it does something really important. And it makes Darth Vader terrifying again, in the most menacing way of which you root for him. That hallway scene's really important to vindicate what is a child killer. That is, Padme, is she okay? Is she all right? No. I was there. I felt it. It's like, all right. Come on. James Earl Jones, pull back a bit. Pull back a bit, bud. Guy on the sound mixer, pull back a bit. Pull back a bit. This is sounding comedic. That he was devastating. It was frightening. Jesus Christ, I'd be shitting my pants. So, yeah, those are where I'd rank the movies. And then, like, you get into the shows where you rank all that. I don't do that, because then we're getting into crazy land.
Sure.
But all the shows are good.
Okay. So alluding to the shows, after watching 4, 5, 6, what was your Star Wars journey past the films growing up until now with the more recent shows and stuff?
We have bought every single Star Wars video game. Every single one. So like it continues, right? Like Republic Commando, chef's kiss. Was it Jango Fett, the Boba Fett game? No. Let's not talk about it. The Obi-Wan game on Xbox, let's not talk about it. Battlefront, we could talk about. We could have a great discussion about those. It's great games. But like even the pod racing game, it's like pod racing sucked. It sucked, dude. It sucked so bad. Because it just lasted 45 minutes. Are you kidding me? Like, here's the thing, Enigma. I'm gonna get canceled in a second. That's fair. I was watching the Harry Potter films.
Yeah.
Because I love J.K. Rowling and what she stands for, and I stole them. So don't worry. She didn't get any money. Relax. It was like the ones with the commercials. Like someone pirated it, and they did weird transitions between the commercials, and every time it's like you get Voldemort going, "Oh, that," and then it's like a weird fade, and then but it's like those movies. I feel like when it came to the Quidditch matches, I'm like, this is what the pod racing should have been. 5-10 minutes of fun.
Yeah.
Of fun. And not 40 minutes. There's 40 minutes of just oh god. Anyway, sorry, I lost in the sauce. I was lost in the sauce. So yeah, the games and then the shows. So the one thing I just found out, the original Clone Wars.
Oh yeah.
Cartoon Network, the cartoon, like legit, cells. They're up on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, they are.
I'm gonna watch the shit out of those.
I think I still have the DVDs of them over there.
Dude, it was It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was so fucking cool. Those are awesome because it does so little and like nobody really talks. So it's just like action for like 5-minute little clips. And I remember waiting like after like what is it? The Kids Next Door or whatever, right? Was it no Codename Kid Next Door? Then you had the Star Wars show, and I was always like, all right, let's go, let's do this. So the cartoons were always a thing for me. I just love how Lucasfilm, they really went, everything is art, anything is on the table, and any way to tell a story, we're going to try it. And I really want to applaud them for that because they really went into every avenue to tell a story in this universe and expand it, whether it's books, comics, video games, whatever have you. They were really wanting to be at the forefront of it all. So the cartoons for sure. And even like the second half of Clone Wars, I think is like at the end of season 2 or 3. Like that's where that show really picks up. And I like it a lot. So real talk, the best show or best animated show is hands down Rebels.
Okay. Rebels
is freaking-tastic. Holy crap. Once they introduce Maul and Ahsoka, spoiler alert, holy crap. And Ahsoka's lightsabers are so cool. So, yeah. Okay. Shows. Great.
Nice. So you alluded to video games. So how did you feel about Jedi Fallen Order when that came out?
It's the best one. So here's the thing. Have you ever been so confident in something you never even had to worry in your entire life? Yeah. Once I heard Respawn is going to make a Star Wars game, I was like, okay, cool. I have faith. I get it. It's EA, but it's Respawn, and they've never made a bad game. You know, they made Call of Duty, right? Like their origins are in Medal of Honor. Again, they've never made a bad video game. Titanfall, stellar. I'm like, oh, okay, they're making a shooter. Oh, it's an action game. Oh, okay. Third person, okay. Oh, cool. So one of the creative directors of God of War 3 is making this. All right, awesome. You got me. And I was in. And everything they showed, I was like, oh, this looks like a Dark Souls Star Wars game with Uncharted elements. Okay, you've piqued my interest. And that's what exactly this thing was. And listen, is it perfect? No. I didn't know that you could find extra health locator things. Okay. So I always rocked 3 like stim packs until like 3/4 of the game.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I was playing that game on, and I was and to just put it into perspective, I was playing the game on hard. And I was like, they just don't have enough health. And I finally Googled it. I was like, oh shit, I cleared most of these planets. Oh, I'm done. So, but that is the perfect Star Wars game because it's my dream Star Wars game at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you're giving me a genre that I love so much, which is Soulsborne, you give me my favorite franchise that means more than anything in the world. I mean that. I love it so much. You're going to get a game that I'm going to love. So when it came out and it's like, oh, wow, this game's great. It might be one of the best Star Wars games. I'm like, I hate to say that I told you so, but I didn't know, but I had faith. So I faithed you so. Never doubt the abilities of Respawn.
Yeah, it was incredible. I remember streaming that and just more and more every session just falling in love with it and like slight spoiler for the ending, but like the customization options once those came with your saber, I was like, yes! like having the ability, obviously the simplicity of the color and stuff, but then being able to swap on the fly of what you wanted, single saber, dual saber, you know, the double blade is just like, this is fucking insane.
Yeah. I'm going to spoil the end for just a sec. So everybody skip 30 seconds ahead, and I'm giving you time to skip ahead. So now you had time. You had time to skip it. You had the 10-second thing on come on. You got Apple Play in the car. When at the end, it's the only game that I skipped. Like, I still watch reactions to the end. Because I was like, as I'm playing, I was like, wow, they didn't even need Darth Vader. And then I heard I'm like, what the fuck? And like when I see like Scylla like like stuck, and I'm like, is it out of fear? She's paralyzed. No, he's force holding her like this, and I'm like, oh my god! And when she's like, avenge us, it's just like, I'm like, and then it does something brilliant where it's just like, oh, I'm gonna fight Darth Vader. Oh, I better not stand a chance. And it's like, no, you don't stand a fucking chance. You need to run. You need to run right now because, boy, he's ripping hallways apart. He's a monster. So I loved that. The game is just so good. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's not like top 10 status. Don't get me wrong, but it's it's on the top 20 for sure.
Okay. So what are your expectations going into Survivor?
Then when they tell me, hey, we're gonna expand the combat a bit. Have you ever heard of a game called Neo? I'm like, yeah, it's a little bit too hard. Okay, have you ever heard of a game called Ghost of Tsushima? I'm like, oh, we're gonna take those stance systems. Oh, we're gonna make everything a hub world, and it's actually easy to navigate the map. Oh, and now there's deeper combat with different stances of your saber. You're getting to break them off mid-combat. Oh, wowee. So all of it speaks to my liking. I think Cal is a fantastic character, which I know they got a lot of flack for a few months ago because the game industry is very sensitive, where they kind of admitted Cal was made because the reaction to Rey.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, yeah, because the fan base is awful, and they're like, we had in mind to make Cal a woman until we saw the reaction. We didn't want to feel, or not the reaction. We didn't want to. I think they said something along the lines of they didn't want to feel like they were copying the movies.
Sure.
And so to me, by bringing in the actor of Shameless, and I'm forgetting his name, I'm so sorry, but he's fantastic. So I loved his portrayal of Cal. I know my brother hated him on Shameless. He's just like, he's gonna suck. This is gonna be awful. And now, my brother's like, Cal Kestis is fucking awesome and he needs to be in the shows. My brother's like, he needs to be in the shows. You don't understand. He has to be in Ahsoka, right? It's like, he has become such a beloved character that I think it's a matter of time before we see him.
Okay.
In live action.
Right. So I guess one more question.
Okay.
So, obviously, wide array of media that, the source material has gone over, and then Disney's acquired it, and they have built Star Wars parks. Have you had the chance to go to either of their Star Wars parks? No. Okay. No. Is that something on your bucket list?
Yo, okay. Dude, I got this new job, and I texted my best friend. I'm like, we are planning a trip. We are going. We are going to have fun. So, yeah, no, I am planning to go, if not next year, the year after. So within the next 2 years, I'm going to Galaxy's Edge.
Great.
And then I'm going to Universal.
Okay.
To may or may not go to the Hogwarts town.
Sure.
If I'm not canceled before then. Or I take a moralistic stand, don't go, so I go see Mario World. Or I just do both and enjoy my fucking life,
Yeah.
Oh my God, Republicans are the worst. I kind of want to escape all the things, God forbid I want to go to a theme park and buy a robe, and then go to another theme park and buy a Mario hat, then go to another theme park and go buy a lightsaber and just confuse all the fandoms.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do so bad.
Yeah, I'm excited for you because, hearing your passion about, obviously, the franchise, Are
you going to Galaxy's Edge? Because you're going to Disney World.
Yeah, so this will be my first time in Florida. When I was out in California, I lived there for a year, I went, and that was an experience like none other. Like, just rounding corners, seeing Kylo Ren's ship, seeing the Falcon, and then walking inside of it for cues and stuff.
I'm gonna cry.
I know, it's
Because here's the thing, I'm not kidding you, dude. Like, the Millennium Falcon is like, it's between that and the DeLorean. That is my favorite sci-fi vehicle, right? So like when I'm in the Falcon, I'm gonna legit just sob. Now, question: how much?
Sure.
You don't have to say it on the show. Maybe afterwards. I don't know. Whatever. How much money do you think I should save up before I go to Galaxy's Edge? And no, I'm not gonna like go buy all the things, but I'm definitely gonna go and do the saber thing.
So if you want to do the saber building, that is
it's like 300, right?
It's 220, I believe, right now. To like
Okay.
go through the thing of like building your own, etc. They do have replicas like you showed, and that's one I'm not sure if you know, but they do have a Cal Kestis one, and I am debating heavily. I'm like, should I get this?
You get the Cal Kestis one, yes. And there's the Ahsoka ones where she pulls it apart.
There's they have a couple different ones. I'm like,
Now they're not the 1-to-1s. I will say this
Okay.
about the park ones. My brother's like, I don't even know the lightsaber. I'm by the group that my brother belongs to. They're very elite. So much so, I'm not shitting you this. The Graflex, the lightsaber Rey uses and Luke uses in the sequels, they are all bought by the people that make these sabers for us in the Facebook community. That's what's so awesome about Star Wars too, is that like they'll buy from you like and use it. Like, here's the thing. Star Wars fans, we get a bad rap for being toxic, sexist, and racist, and a lot of it's there. But there's also a beautiful side of the community that is so in touch with what Star Wars is, without being a dick about it, that Lucasfilm will literally contract folks to go build stuff for them. And that's why things just feel so authentic, because it is. So again, like a lot of the props that you see here, like the 1-to-1 Qui-Gon, yeah, probably was in Obi-Wan. In fact, the Obi-Wan saber was that my brother has is the battle saber in the show.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Made by the same person.
Damn.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're relatively cheap. They're a couple hundred because, parts and such, but like, it's cool.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess if we want to get even crazier, have you seen anything from the Galactic Star Cruiser?
I've seen things.
Okay. Is that something that, like, that role-playing aspect?
No.
Okay.
No. If I can't have sex with a twin. No, that's not the. No, so no shame in the role play. I'm not gonna yuck anyone's yum. But that's too rich for my blood.
That's fair.
And I think even, oh God, who's the CEO that everybody has learned to not like anymore?
So Chapek's out, and then we got
Chapek's is out.
What is the guy's name? It's another Bob, but he's back.
Bob. Yeah.
Is it Iger?
Bobby's back, baby. Yeah, Bob Iger. There you go.
He's good.
He's everybody hates him now. I know. Everybody hates everybody. Whatever. Eat the rich. You know what? Fuck it. What am I funding a billionaire? Eat this motherfucker. He's even said we're gonna lower the prices because it's too goddamn high. So they got the guy that was running for New York with the gloves. He's like, the rent's too damn high. He's gonna be in charge of rent control there. But no, that's a little bit too rich for my blood because it's like a couple grand.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah.
So like to me, it's like I don't want to break the bank. All I need is a lightsaber. I just want Din Djarin's blaster, and I'm a happy boy.
Okay.
Like, I don't think I'm gonna build an R2 unit.
Yeah.
Or a BB unit. I don't think so. I think that I already got one of those and I barely use it. So like, no.
Right.
No, my dumbass. I will. I say it now. but yeah, I'm gonna buy some things. This is probably for the lightsaber.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And
so
then,
what do you think? What do you think think's the damage?
The damage overall? I don't know. Like, if it's just the saber, then yeah. If you're building one's 220, I don't know what the replica ones are, but it's probably up there. And then yeah, it just depends on obviously the rest of the trip. What you're, are you staying in property? Are you doing a hotel? Are you doing how long are you staying?
I'm not gonna do a hotel.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do a hotel. I'm thinking 3 days. Right. Get 1 day to go on the main park.
Sure.
Bullshit around. Right. Go look at a parade. Oh, look, who else is there? See someone propose to their girlfriend or boyfriend. Or, and then like ruin it. Go say no. I'm against love. This is patriarchy. This is capitalism at its worst. You know, that's a blood diamond. South Africa. Have you seen the movie Blood Diamond? how many Leos had to die for that diamond? But yeah, so I'd ruin a proposal, and I'd just walk around. I don't need to go on half the rides. Fucking, I can't go on most of the rides because I'm fat. So again, I do have to lose weight as well because I want to go on the Star Wars rides.
Sure.
So 3 days, one on, one off, and then mess about, and then I'll go to Universal.
Okay.
And then mess about there because I need to go to Super Mario Land.
Yeah, and you got some time because that should be open by that time.
I think it's open. I think it just opened.
I know California's did. Yeah.
Okay.
So, if you're heading that way, then you're good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, probably 1,000 or 2 probably should cover everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You got time. You got time.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I am determined.
Good.
Yeah, I need to go. Need to go right now.
And you can meet your hero now. You can meet Mando and Grogu there.
Yes. Which the Mandalorian is, again, like I can't put movies and shows together because just the list gets too unwieldy. But that is top tier Star Wars. That's S tier Star Wars.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
So good
stuff. Well, everybody, this has been another episode of the Wait What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma911, and today, once again, I was joined by Joe, aka Mr. Badbit, one of the hosts of the Trophy Room. Joe, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, what were we talking about?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I don't know. It's been... No, honestly, it's been a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me so much. Thank you so much for having me. Jesus, sentences and words. Again, migraine. That being said, though, thank you for having me. My name is Joseph, a.k.a. Mr. Badbit. And if you don't know, now you know. Go over to the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, where me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest, the greatest in all things PlayStation. This week, we still, as of recording, are doing our 5-star giveaway. You rate the show 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars over on Spotify Podcasts, and you are entered to win, as long as you share us your posts, a copy of Resident Evil 4 Remake, which is dope. But make sure you subscribe, even the VOD version on youtube.com at PS Trophy Room, and you can find the show over at PS Trophy Room on Twitter. It'd be great to have you.
Yes.
Yeah, the Trophy Room of PlayStation podcast. You'll love to see it.
Absolutely go do that. Joe, congrats on 300 reviews, by the way. You guys hit that milestone.
And that made my day. Because I was having a real bad one. And that one was very vindicating. Those reviews really help. And so, like, when you're done reviewing the Trophy Room, go over review this show. Because, honest to goodness, just subscribe to all the things. Support it. The higher that number is, the more PR people take you seriously. It's a sad reality of things. So please rate your favorite shows on those podcast services. Go subscribe to your favorite channels because it's going to help them in a major way. And it brings more eyes to them as well, because the Google or the Apple algorithm would be like, oh, people are really into this, so we're going to put it on the front of iTunes.
Right.
It really does help.
Yeah. And yeah, just from the bottom of my heart, Joe, congrats on everything. You and Kyle have been crushing it lately. Like, episodes are great. They've been great, but you guys keep that momentum going. You guys have had, ups and downs, but you guys keep pushing this content out regularly, consistently, and quality is great. And you guys lately crushing it with the guests too. Like, I know you had John McLaren on like a year or two ago, but like more and more guests showing up now, and it's just been awesome. We got
Jane Perry, the voice of Celine from Returnal, which she was so great because she's just like, I've been waiting for you to ask. Oh. And then we had Danielle Bisotti from the voice of Freya of God of War Ragnarok. And I was like, hey, would you like to do something? And she's like, I've been waiting for you to ask. And she shows us our Twitter poll for her. So like, yeah, it was just so awesome to see them go like paste our posts going, yes, we've been waiting for you to ask us. Yes, let's do this. So yeah, we're gonna have some more cool people talking about games and stuff. Like, to quote a horrible person, the best is yet to come. It really is. It's gonna be great.
Awesome.
It'll
So
be great.
yes, everybody go check that out. And remember, if you guys want to check out this podcast live, you can go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011, usually live every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You join the chat, join the conversation, join all the fun. We'd love to have you there. But if you can't catch live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, like Joe said, any way you can support the shows, liking, commenting, reviewing, sharing with somebody you think would enjoy it. It may seem small, but it helps out in a giant way. So whatever you can do, we would love and appreciate you for it. Joe, once again, thank you for the time, good sir.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Viewers, listeners, thank you guys for hanging out with us today, giving us a watch, giving us a listen, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.